course, that 2020 previews are insane. There are some absurd legendary creatures we have to look at in this video, as well as a host of new awesome cards. In case you missed last episode, which basically just released, you can click the link on the screen. Alright, I do hope you enjoy this 2020 preview video, and if you do, please hit the like button below the video. It really does help out a lot. Why do you think I keep talking about it? Seriously, just click it. Alright, let's do this thing. Golos, Tireless Pilgrim is 5 mana for a 3/5 legendary artifact creature scout. When Golos enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a land card, put that card onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. You can pay 2 of anything, 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, and 1 green to exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn without paying their mana cost. What? This is one of the coolest commanders I've ever seen. Look at this design. 5 color identity, but easy as heck to cast. Easy to cast because Golos wants to hit the battlefield to grab you the lands you need to activate its ability, and because you're playing a deck with 5 colors, you can put anything in this deck, and no matter what you reveal, you get to cast it. Not just creatures or permanents or sorceries, everything. You get to play everything. That includes lands as well. What a dynamic new commander. I think the most obvious synergy here is with Maze's End. There wasn't really a good commander for that until now, but since Golos can grab any land, the world is your oyster. It can get you Urborg, Cabal Coffers, Mazavith, Gaia's Cradle, Volrath's Stronghold. Think of the best land in your deck and it can be on the tip of your finger. Golos is sweet. Any deck made around it will be sweet. I can't wait to put a deck together that's full of mana ramp and gigantic spells. Enter the Infinite, Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, Time Stretch, Expropriate, Swarm Intelligence. I'll start working on that now. I've got ideas. He's so freaking cool. Hanged Executioner is 3 mana for a 1/1 spirit with flying. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit token with flying. You can also pay 4 mana and exile Hanged Executioner to exile target creature. Is it just me or is this card supremely weird? Like, the design is weird, right? 3 mana for a 1/1 that brings a 1/1 and eventually exiles to remove something. It isn't bad per se. It's got nice flying synergy with the Eagle and favorable winds, solid synergy with Supreme Phantom. Maybe that's what this is for. Hanged Executioner brings 2 flying spirits onto the board, and then when you're in a pickle, you can exile it to get rid of something terrible. Alright, you know what? I can get behind this. We're already building the blue-white based Flying Spirits deck for Standard, and you can bet this Executioner just made the shortlist. It's pretty interesting. Starfield Mystic is 2 mana for a 2/2 human cleric. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on the Mystic. Well, if this isn't a sign that we're going back to Theros, then I have no idea what would be. This is like Theros in a single card. Enchantment cost reduction like this reminds me of Herald of the Pantheon, but instead of life gain, the creature gets swole on enchantment destruction. The first place for this card is obviously Commander. In the last few years, a ton of new enchantments have been printed as well as cards that benefit from them. Estrid the Mass, Tuvasa the Sunlit, and Daxos the Returned, among others, have turned enchantment decks into lean, mean, wrecking machines. Now, enchantments tend to die in Commander a lot, especially when they're powerful. So at least now, when you lose Enchantress's Presence, or Sigil of the Empty Throne, or Sphere of Safety, you get something out of it, an ever-growing blanket, cost-reducing cleric. Excellent card in Commander, and a nice throwback or foreshadow of things to come. Flood of Tears is what happens to me whenever I think about Vedser, but it's also 4 of anything and 2 blue for a sorcery. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. If you return 4 more non-token permanents you control this way, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. I think this card has real legs in Standard. 6 mana might seem like a lot, but there's a blue-green ramp deck right now that can get to 6 mana real easy. Then all you have to do is return 4 different non-token permanents to your hand, which you can easily do between mana producers, maybe a Hydroid Krasis, a Walker or 2. Then you get to drop whatever you want down. The consensus right now is that Omniscience is the most broken nonsense you can play, and considering getting 6 mana is something that's easily feasible by turn 4 or 5 without too much of an issue, that blue-green ramp deck might want to take a look at Flooded Tears and Omniscience. My goodness, what a time to be alive. Now, in Commander, it's a big cyclonic rift that everyone will hate you for, but it is another upheaval effect, and there are players who love those, so Haidar gang, enjoy. Barkai Troll is 2 green mana for a 2/2 troll that enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. You can pay 1 mana and remove a +1/+1 counter from the troll to give it hexproof until end of turn. Well, isn't this a neat bear? 2 mana for a natural 2/2, but comes with a sweet counter, so a 2 mana 3/3 that can protect itself from removal. I enjoy this card quite a bit for limited and even more for Standard. This is the kind of card green decks want to sideboard in against mono red burn or any similar aggressive deck that uses targeted removal to gain an advantage. An early Barkai Troll is going to either take 2 removal spells to kill, or 1 and a creature trait in combat. At least that's what'll happen most of the time. Having that extra layer of protection is like saying your opponent needs to spend an additional card to get rid of it. Might seem unassuming, but it's actually quite good. Overgrowth Elemental is 3 mana for a 3/2 elemental. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on another target elemental you control. Whenever another creature you control dies, you gain 1 life. If that creature was an elemental, put a +1/+1 counter on Overgrowth Elemental. Perfect card for an elemental deck in Limited. 3 mana for a 3/2 is serviceable. With another elemental, it actually comes down with 4 power, which is great. And you get 1 life whenever something else dies. And if it's an elemental, the Overgrowth Elemental gets bigger. This does a lot for a 3 mana uncommon. We're gonna need a few fast elementals, but if we can get them, elementals as an actual standard deck doesn't seem so bad. We have some sweet synergy so far. I'll be keeping an eye out. Regardless, in Commander, even without elementals, this has an on-death trigger, so Prosh and company should be plenty happy to gain a bunch of life for no real effort. Grow Cyclists, 2 mana for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. It gets an additional +2/+2 until end of turn for each card named Grow Cycle in your graveyard. Oh hey, this is great throwback to Muscle Burst. 2 mana is just fine for a +3/+3 instant that comes with a strong conditional upside. With even a single Grow Cycle in the graveyard, +5/+5 for 2 mana at instant speed, that can win you games. It can destroy some of the most powerful creatures in combat. If you can grab a few copies in Limited, this becomes a premier combat trick very quickly. Always love these. Happy this one is back. Hey, baby, it's gonna be part of a cycle of them. You get it because it's a growth cycle. Please don't unsubscribe. Kaalia, Zenith Seekers, 1 red, 1 white, and 1 black for a 3/3 legendary creature human cleric with flying and vigilance. When Kaalia enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an angel card, a demon card, and or a dragon card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Well, this is not what I was expecting to see today. A new cheaper Kaalia, hottest of dangs. And she comes with her pro angel, demon, and dragon gimmick. Compared to the original Kaalia, there are a few key differences. New Kaalia is card advantage, letting you dig 6 cards deep for up to 3 different tribes. She also has better combat stats with vigilance and a higher power and toughness, whereas original Kaalia has worse stats, a higher cost, but a way more explosive trigger. Kaalia of the Vast is more aggressive, more ruthless, striking first and asking questions later. Kaalia's Zenith Seeker is more methodical, calling creatures to her cause before attacking. When you're making a decision on which Kaalia to choose, think about it this way. Kaalia of the Vast is flashy, her trigger is explosive, and she'll draw the attention of the entire table. Kaalia's Zenith Seeker is far more unassuming, with strong card advantage and no terrible reputation that'll get her attacked immediately and get you kicked out of the game. Just a thought. Field of the Dead is a non-basic land card that enters the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it to add 1 colorless. Whenever Field of the Dead or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Another card with interesting design. I've thought a lot about placing this card somewhere, and the only place I can think of that this card would shine is in a land manipulation deck. So basically something that cycles through lands on your battlefield often, probably in a Gerog monster, Windgrace type strategy. At some point, it does just get you 2/2s for free. Those decks run a plethora of different lands. Having 7 with different names on the battlefield doesn't seem too difficult. I'd look there for a card like this. That artwork, it makes me feel like it should have been printed in Mirage or something. Anyone else? Just me? Yeah, okay. Alright, at this point you have to be at least a little excited for this set. I was already sold at Golos, then a new Kaalia, Theros throwback, me crying in the corner. There's a lot going on in this set, so what do you want to see? What are you hoping the set brings for Standard or Modern or Limited or Commander or anything? And as far as content is concerned, any deck ideas you want me to explore? Let me know all your thoughts forever down below and we'll talk about it. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel for the latest and most reliable Core Set 2020 spoiler information you could ever need. And as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. Core Set 2020 is getting better and better by the second, so if you want to pre-order your boxes, you can do that right here for only $99 each by clicking the link on the screen. If you don't have a local game store or yours is charging way too much, I got you back right here. Boxes shipped to your door on release, and you help the channel out a bunch, win-win for everyone. And for a limited time, if you click the link on the screen and you like the video and leave a heart in the comment section, you'll get a free Snickers bar, king size. Yeah, delivered anywhere in the world for free. Huge king size Snickers bar with gold trim on it, wrapped in packs of unlimited. I know I'm excited too, so don't miss out. Enjoy!